Hi everyone, and welcome back to Fully Playable Games. So on today's video we are going to be doing something a bit different, and yeah, we're out and about, but we are out and about somewhere that I've probably never shown on the channel. Oh, let's say that once. And we are at Thorpe Park, and the reason I'm at Thorpe Park today is for this. So I am going to be riding Hyperia on its opening day, and I am so excited. I have been following the construction of this ride since it was first announced. So yeah, massive shout out to Jack Silkstone for his amazing videos that he's done on the construction. But yeah, today we are going to be riding it. I'm not going to be able to take the GoPro on it because they're not letting anyone film on it, but yeah, really looking forward to getting on it. So yeah, I'm going to go and get in the queue, and then I'll update you with how we're getting on. Just hit the 3-hour mark in the queue. It's just coming up to 5 to 1. I've just got a care package from the wife, and yeah, that's going to see me through until we get off, and yeah, then I can go and actually get some lunch. But we are not too far, so we're not far from getting to Hyperia Plaza, but yeah, fingers crossed it won't be too much longer. But it is what it is. I'm just taking it as it comes today. So I'll see you in a bit. So just reached the 3.5-hour mark, and I've just got into Hyperia Plaza. So it is absolutely brilliant here. I am really looking forward to getting on the ride now. just got off it. Oh my God, that is just like nothing you've ever done. You're literally, you get on it and you pull your lap bar down, and it feels strange because there's nothing over the top of you. And then I will admit, I did set myself, I was going to have my arms around all the way round. I didn't manage it on the first drop, but after the first drop I did get my arms up. It's just so weird. You're going around and you can feel yourself lifting out the seat all the time, and you go on roller coasters and they say about weightlessness. Nothing like this. You clearly see it. It's just amazing. It really is. So what are we at now? It is, my watch is telling me I've done my move goal. It's just coming up to 3:30. So we've been queuing for about 6 hours, and it was worth it. It was worth it for every single second. I'm going to go and have a look at the photo, take a bit, and then what I'll do is we're going to have a look around the shop, and then yeah, I'll give you my final thoughts. But absolutely amazing. That is going to wrap up our trip to Thorpe Park. And yes, I will admit I did record an outro to this video when I was actually in the park, but as I was driving home and this morning as well, I was just thinking about it, and I just missed off so much that I wanted to talk about. I think I was still just completely spaced out after riding Hyperia. So yeah, well, a couple of bits to sort of literally just talk about really. First is obviously when we first arrived there. So yeah, I will admit the biggest negative that I've got of the whole day was how the early morning was managed. Well, two, but I'll go into the other one in a minute. So we got to the park about 8:30. 8:30, 8:45, something like that. I was looking to get there for 9 o'clock, but we got stuck in traffic on the way there. So yeah, we were a bit delayed getting there. So we've got into the queue. We're fairly near the front of the queue to get through security, and we're waiting and waiting and waiting for them to open. Just like, when are they going to open it? The guy was there sort of coming over. He had a bullhorn, and he was saying, right, we'll be opening the gates at 20 to 10. So we're like, okay, yeah, that's not a problem. Then talking to other people in the queue, they were sort of saying and showing videos of the holding area being completely full. And we're like, well, how does that work then? You've not opened the gates. So we were all assuming that it was hotel guests had been given the priority and moved into the holding area. We were then being held back, and they were not opening the gates to allow that to sort of go down. Obviously, since then, since watching a couple of the other YouTubers' videos, I found out that what they actually did was they opened the gates at 8 o'clock, let the people in, because apparently there's been people there from about 4 o'clock in the morning. So they let a load of people in. They all went into the holding area, I think, with the hotel guests as well. Then they closed the gate, and then anyone after a certain time then had to wait until 10 o'clock. Fine, I've not got a problem with that, but I just think there was a lack of communication there. Could have been a bit more communication as to what was going on. Then the actual queue itself. So we got in, and with Thorpe Park, you've obviously got the turnstiles, then the bridge over the lake onto sort of Thorpe Park Island itself. So the queue started in the building with the turnstiles, and literally before we'd even left the building, if you weren't already in the queue for Hyperia, you literally couldn't move. So the people that were just going into the park couldn't get through the crowds, and the people that were then trying to get into the Hyperia queue, it was just one big bunch of people. So I thought that was that wasn't organised the best. But obviously I was already in the queue by this point. I was like in a position, and yeah, it was fine. It took me about an hour, it took me about 35 minutes to get from the building with the turnstiles down to the holding area. Now, I'll put the Thorpe Park map up, and I'll try and illustrate where the queue route was. So you literally went over the bridge, round the side of the dome, then down past Vortex, along over the courtyard in front of the tortilla restaurant by Colossus, down into what was the picnic area, and for today was the holding area. So yeah, it took me about 35 minutes to get down there. Then it took, I think by the sort of hour mark, I'd already done sort of 3 rows. So that's 1 down, 1 up, and then I was back down the other end. That then left, I think it was another 6 rows. I think it was 9 rows in total in the holding area. So it left another 6. So I thought, well, I've done really well. So within an hour, I've got from up by the turnstiles to sort of 3 rows in. Should only be another hour here, and then probably sort of half an hour to an hour to get to what is, I think now is called, is it Fly Island or something? I'm still calling it Hyperia Plaza. But no, that didn't work. I think by that point is when the ride started to get started to have breakdowns. So yeah, it then took, I want to say, another couple of hours. Let me get my phone, because I think I jotted down on my phone how long it took. Yeah, so gates opened at 10 o'clock. 10:35 I entered the holding area. 12:30 I left the holding area. So yeah, 2 hours to get through those last couple of rows, or to get through the holding area. And then 1:30 is when I actually got down onto Hyperia Plaza. Then from there, it took me, I think it was about 15-20 minutes to get from the entrance of Hyperia Plaza to the entrance of the ride. And then obviously we went through, it was the whole queue, and I didn't go into the single riders, I did go into the main queue. Reason for that is, and I'm quite glad that I did, there was one guy that I saw in the single rider queue, and by this point I had gone past the little shop. Was it Hyperia Eats or Flight Eats or something like that, the one that was actually in the queue. And yeah, I was going down the back of that, and I could see a guy still outside on the plaza in what I assumed was the single rider queue, and he was still there, and he was actually quite near to me when we were in the holding area. So yeah, I was quite glad that I did go into the main queue. So worked our way around, brilliant, got some absolutely amazing shots, really happy with some of the shots we got, and it really stands out actually, the design, the way they've designed that outer bank turn coming out of the station. And yeah, it really got people both on the ride and in the queue interacting with each other, and yeah, I just think that is one of my favourite designs of the way that they've done the sort of the ride and the queue. So yeah, then I think by the time I didn't actually get on the ride until 3:30. So if you think, I was there from, let's say, 8:30, so 8:30, 9:30, 10:30, 11:00, 12:00, 1, 2, so we're looking at 7 hours I queued, including the time outside the park. If we take that off, we're looking at 5.5 hours. Which, yeah, is extreme. That's why I've got the radiant glow that I have today, because my fault, I didn't put any sun cream on, didn't have a hat or anything like that, or I had a hat but I'd never put it on. But yeah, do you know what, for queuing for 7 hours, it wasn't that bad. And yeah, as you saw in the video, my reaction when I got off the ride, I was just completely stunned. So yeah, for me, it was worth it. I did really enjoy it. But what I did do is, as we were going, so when you come out of the holding area, you went past Saw, past Samurai, and then down into the plaza. Well, as we were coming over Saw Bridge, I actually phoned the wife to drop me off a care package of KFC, as you saw. But yeah, because what had happened, because we were running late getting there, normally what we tend to do is we tend to pop into one of the services and get a McDonald's breakfast. But because we were running late, I didn't get a chance to do any of that. So by this time, this was close to about 1 o'clock by the time I got there. 1, half 1, something like that, and I hadn't eaten. So at this point, I'm starting to feel sick with how hungry I am. Luckily, she was able to bring this over, because literally we had to as well work out a point where both the public area and the queuing area intersect. So obviously she couldn't get she couldn't get to me when I was in the holding area. So literally that was the first point at which we could sort of cross paths, so to speak. But yeah, as I say, it wasn't too bad. There was 2 guys behind me, and I have to be honest, they did tell me their names and I completely forgot it. But yeah, they were a great laugh. They ended up on the row behind me when we were actually on the ride as well. So yeah, it was a great atmosphere. I will say it wasn't as much of a party atmosphere as I was expecting. I think because a lot of the stuff went on like in Hyperia Plaza, when you were in the queue, you kind of felt like you got forgot about. So yeah, that was a bit disappointing. And yeah, I think the opening ceremony, there was no sort of announcement that it was going live online, and yeah, everything was very, if you weren't in the area, it just felt like they wasn't the park wasn't bothered with you. So yeah, I will say that was a bit of a criticism as well. The actual plaza itself, I'll be honest, it was very difficult to gauge it yesterday because it was so busy. You had railings going everywhere that wouldn't normally be there. We went in the shop, and I actually filmed the shot 2 separate times. So I filmed it first off when I first come off the ride, and then actually we went back just before we left, and that's when I got the t-shirt. And that's probably the footage that you're seeing in the video, but it was just ransacked. I'd seen some, when I got home I saw some footage from Theme Park Worldwide's press night, and you saw the shop and it looked pristine, it looked amazing, whereas by the time sort of we got to it, things were everywhere, t-shirts were just chucked on shelves, and that's not the staff, not saying that is anything to do with Thorpe Park, it's just the people that are sort of coming, and yeah, that was very disappointing. But yeah, so before we go into the actual ride itself, the breakdowns. So when the first breakdown I noticed was when just after we come off the Saw Bridge, and it was actually just after the wife had dropped off my my care package. We noticed that the car on the way up the lift hill had stopped about a third of the way up the lift hill. You could see the other car was stuck on the brake run, and then this car was stuck on there. So it looked like the ride had basically experienced a power failure. And yeah, I think it took them about 10 minutes to get that up and running. Then everything was going again. But yeah, from the time we were at the Saw Bridge, all the way through to actually getting on the ride, there was 5 separate breakdowns. I will say they all ended up lasting for about 10 minutes or so. But yeah, if I'm honest, I expected it. I didn't have a problem with it at all. It is literally day 1 of operation of this ride. It was never going to be silky smooth. It's just impossible. So if you think the amount of people that went through that ride, the amount of times that ride run round, it would literally, there was no way they would have ever done that amount of runs in a single day. So yeah, completely agree with I've not really got a problem with the breakdowns at all. I will admit, obviously I am quite fortunate where I'm filming this on the Saturday. There has been a bit of a development with that, because Thorpe Park actually put out a couple of announcements today, basically saying that Hyperia has been shut for the whole day. And I'm assuming because of the various breakdowns that they had yesterday, there's obviously something that's come up from that that is basically causing them to have made the decision to close it down. I will admit, I've been sort of reading some of the comments, and there are quite a few people that are obviously either heading to or at the park that are not really annoyed. But I will side with some of the other commenters who basically say you've got to think about it from the perspective, if Thorpe Park did run the rides and something happened, that would be even worse. So yeah, I will say that. And don't get me wrong, I know I'm saying that from the perspective of someone that's actually ridden the rides, but yeah, I do agree with Thorpe Park. As well, we don't know the issue, whatever issue was being caused yesterday. It could be that there could be an even bigger problem. Like if they just kept running it, for example, if they run it through for today, which I would say you're probably looking at similar numbers, if not more, than what was yesterday, because yesterday was obviously a weekday. You'll have a lot of kids at school, everything like that, whereas today being a Saturday, I reckon you'll have a lot more flow going through. So yeah, I think it's probably a good precaution that they've done it, and at least that way they'll get a couple of the bugs out of the system. More than likely it will be open again tomorrow, if not sort of tail end of the week. But yeah, I'm on this, and I will admit, yes, I would have been, if I was going there today, I would have been annoyed. But I think after seeing I think as well, a lot of the YouTubers that have been covering Hyperia won't necessarily have spoken about the breakdowns throughout the day. I know, I think out of all the videos that I watched last night when I got home, there's only one channel that actually mentioned it. So yeah, a lot of people have probably seen these videos. They're not hearing about any of these breakdowns. They're not hearing what went on yesterday. So yeah, it is what it is. Then, right, so the actual ride itself. And yeah, this is one that describing this has been something that I've really struggled with over the last sort of 24 hours, because I've also had sort of my sister-in-law on the phone this morning, wanting to know everything. And yeah, I think the best thing to do is I'm going to sort of put in some of the on-ride POV, as well as my footage as we're sort of going through this bit. So obviously you come out the station, well, before we even come out the station, you're sat in the car and you pull the lap bar down, and I will admit it was a really disconcerting feeling, because you're sitting there and it just does not feel right. You know you're going onto a ride that's an extreme ride. You've got vertical drops, you've got inversions, and you're sitting there, you've got nothing on your top, and it just feels wrong. It really does. And then obviously the station is set up with, you've got the light package. Yesterday there was smoke effects. I don't know how long the smoke effects will last for. Normally those sort of things are the first thing that get sort of canned off. But yeah, you come out and you actually come on the outer bank turn. Now that outer bank turn, as well as the position of the bottom of the lift hill, as I said earlier on, are just genius, because the amount of interaction, being on the ride, you're interacting with the people in the queue are then interacting with the people on the ride. It is amazing. It really is. It's one of the simplest things I've ever seen, but it's brilliant. It really builds the excitement. So yeah, I thought that was great. Then we sort of obviously start going up the lift hill, and we're going up the lift hill, and one thing that I wanted to make sure that I do, because a lot of people had said when you're going up the lift hill, make sure you look behind, because you get stunning views of the park. So I was looking behind, and that's another thing. How often are you on a roller coaster and you can easily look behind yourself without sort of any restriction? That just blew my mind. So I'm looking back, looking at the park, sort of talking with a couple of the others around us, and yeah, we're going up the lift hill, and we're like, I'm then sort of like, wait there, we've been going up for a long time. How far are we? And I think by this point we were about 2/3 of the way up the lift hill, and I'm like, oh, I'm getting a bit nervous here now. Since originally, before I started, I'd been like, I wanted to have my hands up the whole way round. But yeah, I will admit that first time we got to that top of the lift hill, and I had to hold on. I bottled it on the top of the lift hill. But I think by the time we hit sort of halfway down the drop, I was able to get my hands back up, and I think I had them up for the rest of the ride. But yeah, it was, so you come up the lift hill, and in that first drop, I will admit I was really lucky with our position, because we managed to get second row on my first ride. I was literally a hair's breadth away from being first row. I was gutted that I couldn't do it, but the group of 3 that was in front of me, obviously 2 of them took the first row, obviously, as you would. But yeah, so you're going down this drop, and you're literally, it's like you're a missile pointed at the ground. It's immense. It's like, if you think you've done Stealth, or you've done Oblivion, even Saw, it just feels nothing like it. I think obviously with those other rides you've got, apart from, yeah, even Saw, you've got harnesses on, and just having that, your upper body being completely open like that, it just makes it feel like nothing on earth. Then you're sort of going down, and what I noticed most of all about this ride was people talk about airtime on all of these rides, and I'm like, yeah, you get the odd feeling here and there, but nothing that I'd really sort of shout home about. This 100%, it is, you notice it, because what's happening as well is you're being lifted out of the seat, And then you're like, well, there's nothing up top to stop me keep going. Obviously you do stop, but yeah, the airtime on this ride is just non-stop. It's just constant. And yeah, I think that really stood out to me. So you're sort of carrying on, you're going through, then you hit the other outer bank turn. And once again, it's another area where you are being sort of thrown out, because essentially you're going round the corner, but your body will keep going sort of that way, whereas the ride's then coming back round. So yeah, that's another instance where you get sort of a real sort of weightless feeling. Then obviously after that you go down and we go into the bit that I was most looking forward to, and that is the stall. Because whenever I've seen this ride running, both videos beforehand and on the day, it just looked amazing. It just looked like you sort of sailed across, and it just seemed to be never ending. And I will admit, as you're sort of on that turn, yeah, it definitely is my favourite element on the rides. And then obviously you go down through the splashdown. You've got a couple then, or a couple more sort of weightless bits, and then you hit the brake run. But yeah, and I think I'm definitely going to agree with what a lot of other people have said. Even though it's a small ride, and the whole ride, I think the footage of me actually on the ride, that whole video is about 1 minute and 40 seconds long. That's including the lift hill, and I think the official Thorpe Park POV, where they cut out the lift hill, that is about 1 minute and 4 seconds. It just doesn't feel like that, because you've got so many different elements that you're going into and so many different sensations. I think if they'd made it any longer, it would have actually been too much. So I think they've really hit the nail on the head with this one, and they've got it at just that sweet spot. You've got all of the different elements, and then you've got the right length to fit the sort of roller coaster that it is. And yeah, it was out of this world. I am so looking forward to when I can get back on it. Because I know some of the other YouTubers that were at the press night on the Thursday, they got to ride it sort of 5-6 times, and they were saying that we were obviously doing different parts of the train, coming up with their favourite place to sit on the train, and yeah, each time you're able to describe it in a bit better way. Obviously, I've only done it once, and just from that one time, as I say, when I got off the ride, I literally grabbed my GoPro out of the bag as quick as I could, because I just wanted to document how I was feeling and everything like that, and I wanted it there and then, sort of, and just the rawness of it, because yeah, I'd seen people say that it was an amazing experience, an amazing ride, but sometimes you don't. Sometimes you think that people are upselling it or things like that. But yeah, they are. What people are saying about this ride is completely true. It's something that everyone's got to experience. If you like roller coasters, you've got to experience it. And yeah, I really don't know how to wrap this video up, because yeah, it's just an outstanding experience, and I can't believe that it is. One, it's at a park that's literally on my doorstep. So I think it normally takes me about an hour to get to Thorpe Park from where I live, and I can say that I am definitely going to be visiting Thorpe Park even more than normal. So Thorpe Park is my favourite park out of everyone in the UK. But yeah, I am going to be there as much as I possibly can this year, and I'm going to be riding Hyperia as much as I possibly can. It is a superb ride, and unfortunately it has knocked my other favourite ride off the top spot, which was Swarm. Another Thorpe Park ride, but yeah, that was that was my favourite roller coaster up until I rode Hyperia. It is just superb, it really is. So with that, I am going to wrap the video up there because I have got to get this video edited so you guys can see it. But yeah, before you head off, if you did enjoy the video, I know it was something completely different and not gaming related, but if you did enjoy it, don't forget to hit that like button, and if you're not already, smash that subscribe button and ring the bell to be kept up to date when I upload new videos. And yeah, with that said, thank you so much for watching today. Really hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you on the next one. All right, bye.